It's part 5 of our conversation with Steve Porcaro. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music.
Someone asked, please share a favorite memory of Jeff and Mike.
Of Jeff and Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, one I like to tell that's Toto related, and I'm sorry if you've heard this before, but, Jeff and I, Mike was the middle brother, and believe me, he was the middle brother, and Jeff and I kind of bumped heads quite a bit, especially when we were in the band together in terms of technology. And I'm being very much into it, and Jeff is all about groove and feel and hates that stuff, hates click tracks and the stiffness. And I was going to do the song of mine, Leah, on the Fahrenheit album. And the demo I had done with just a drum machine loop. And we had talked about, the guys wanted to do the song, and they talked about how we would do it. And Jeff said, I think we should do like an acoustic loop, like, using a 24-track tape, make a loop like they did on Africa, which is very time-consuming and labor-intensive. And anyway, I just remember one morning waking up, and it was pouring rain. I love it when it rains, by the way. And it was Jeff on the phone saying, it looks like a great day to make a loop. And I went over to his studio, which is just a block away from where I am right now. And he had called up Steve Jordan. He called up Jim Keltner. He called up Lenny Castro. And, of course, my brother Mike and Luke and Paige were there. And he got all these drummers in a semicircle in his studio, and they made these loops for my song Leah. And it just was an amazing moment where kind of technology and groove kind of met in the middle there. It was a very cool moment for us.
Wow. I find that with Fahrenheit, that for me personally, Fahrenheit album was the beginning of, it was, I don't know, the 7th one to me, it fell together. That's the kind of the Toto that I really, really enjoyed. But I kept changing my mind. Like, for instance, I wasn't a big fan of Turn Back when it came out, and now it's one of my favorite albums. It's strange how that happens, right?
Yep, sure.
Because sometimes when you fall in love too fast, it doesn't work, but then,
I'm telling you, John.
Got some questions?
Okay. If you were stuck on an island and you could only have one Toto record, which one would it be?
I don't know, only one Toto record.
We're putting you on an island, young man.
Yep.
Greatest hits?
Greatest hits.
There you go. At the present.
Oh, that's perfect.
Actually, not the old one.
Yeah. Were you a fan of Rod Argent, for instance? Shem, when I mentioned to Shem that I was going to interview him, he just went crazy. So one day I called Shem up and I said, Shem, why don't you interview Rod Argent with me?
Oh, you're kidding.
He liked the Circus album so much from Argent. And I wasn't that familiar with it. I heard it maybe twice. So he interviewed Rod Argent with me. Were you a fan of his?
Huge. I mean, to be honest with you, Hold Your Head Up was just, as far as a keyboard player goes and a Hammond sound goes, it was the shit,
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Who's your favorite keyboard player?
Whew. God, there's too many. I'm all over the place. It's I have trouble focusing. My favorite keyboard player right now. Don't put me on the spot like that. My favorite keyboard player is David Paich.
There you go. Shen? Good answer. That's great. I'm still going to get David Paich. I know he's very private.
I'm such a fan of.
I know he's very private. I got to interrupt you. I'm going to get David Paich on this channel. Thanks for trying. And he was really nice. He sent me a real nice letter. But David Paich will be on this channel. So help me God.
Come on, we'll work on him.
I was 17 when I first listened to Someday, Somehow, and it's my favorite album of all time. Do you consciously write to target an older audience now, or do you write what just comes naturally to you?
I write what comes naturally to me, especially that album, Yeah, a lot of the lyrics were, I was helped with Mike Sherwood and sometimes Jamie too, but they were all my babies, you know what I mean? They're all keyboard riffs that I kind of came up with and attached the title to.
After the album was released, Michael reached out to me because I wasn't familiar with his work, and we communicated a little bit. We were going to do an interview, but we got sidetracked a little bit.
That's too bad. He would have been a great interview. Mike's
lots of good stuff. But see, just like you and your family, where you have you're surrounded by with his family too. I mean, there's that picture with him and his brother, with Billy and Sammy Davis Jr.
Unbelievable.
But you had that too, though, right? I mean, were you guys ever starstruck as kids? I mean,
sure, absolutely. Yeah, and by people that, most people wouldn't hear of. You know what I mean? I was starstruck by Leon Russell and Larry Knechtel and Joe Osborne and Hal Blaine before most people knew who they were. Because these were our heroes, Jim Keltner and Jim Gordon and, all the guys in Mad Dogs and Englishmen, and these studio guys were our heroes. So, I'd be starstruck around him.
But with your dad, though, for instance, I mean, when I talk to artists, all their kids always go, well, it's just dad, stuff like that.
Sure.
But
sure.
Was your dad the type of dad that would tell you stories? I mean, you were also there, but would he sit you down and tell you stories about the artists that he's worked with?
Yeah, and my dad was never a big, you know what I mean? There's those guys that anytime they're around somebody, even before there was iPhones and selfies, that, they'd get a picture if they were anywhere near a celebrity. My dad was never that way, really. He didn't fuss over, you know what I'm saying? He'd see all kinds of, believe me, I'd be with him on a movie date and there Clint Eastwood would walk in, that kind of thing happened all the time, But those guys have so many sycophants and people around him telling him how great they are and trying to strike up conversations for not much reason. I don't know. I just have always been shy around celebrities, I guess, and around my heroes.
Well, that's probably helped you, though. I would think that they call that be cool, right? You got to be cool when you're around people.
Yeah, right.
Because if we talked and I'd be going, oh my God, Steve, you're the greatest guy. You go, I got to go have a shower now. Thank you very much. Because I've been around. I've been around a lot of people backstage, and I go, don't do that, don't do that. But they can't help it. They're just happy.
Sure.
You're just happy,
and other times there's people I'll be working with, and I'll say, I'm sorry, but you got to let me piddle on you for a second. I just tell them how amazing they are and how much their music meant to me. I've just been working with Edgar Winter recently. Speaking to him on the phone, and if he had any idea how much I was into him as a kid, he'd be blocking my calls.
Yeah.
But so after you're around him a lot, you know what I mean. You don't have to be like that all the. Hopefully they're just appear and you're working with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Quick question. Any tips for someone just starting with digital audio workstations? What to focus on for the best results?
Absolutely. It's only what you need to do. You know what I mean? Are you a singer-songwriter? Do you just need to record your guitar and vocal, and that's it? Start there. Learn how to do that. Don't take it all on. Don't think that you have to use every single feature these things have or that you've got to learn all of that. Start off just learning what you need to know to get what you need done. Then you need to add a drum machine to that. Figure that out, but just take it one slow step at a time.
Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music.